So the other problem is maintaining the quality of the during storage. I can report you there are several changing may happen in the feed ingredient. Environmental problem. We know this is the tropic. We have very high humidity, very high temperature, and also infestation. The infestation coming not only from the pathogen or the fungus or insect, sometimes coming from the rodent. We notice many times in the feed mill that a rodent has become very heavily invested in warehouse. So what kind of the factor that involve in deterioration of the feed ingredient in the tropic? There are chemical changes may happen in the feed ingredient. I can show you what the result of the changes in a few minutes. There's some kind of the growth of microorganism. If you're talking about the fungus, everywhere in the region which is the humidity normally above 70, 80 is happen in the region, the fungus will grow. The fungus not only grow in the feed, the fungus grow in human body also here. The other problem is eaten by rodent, the insects, the human handling problem. There's couple cases has been happening that they put the wrong stuff and put it in the different ingredient. There's a problem with the container coming up. Few cases happen when importing the container from the overseas. They haul up in the port and they deteriorate it before they are loading up to the warehouse. The exposure of the high temperature and the moisture. So what kind of the losses when we receive it, the ingredient from overseas or probably from the local also? There are several losses may happen. One is weight losses. Many people never checks that how much the inventory losses when they store the corn for 1 month, for example. There are several feed mill may lose up to 2% per month. How about the quality losses? The quality is not only nutritional quality, which is feeding to the animal, but of course, physical quality has been detected. The color change. There's some few report the DDGS color has changed during the storage. How about the chemical change to reduce the composition? Of course, we can calculate how much the approximately about nutritional losses on chemical losses to the money, because money has become very important. And what happened with the loss of the good reputation? There are a couple of suppliers who supply the feed ingredient in the region and the quality is going down, the reputation is going down also. I tried to pick up how much the real losses in the region, but I couldn't find in literature, in published literature. There are several cases, losses in extreme situation like in Africa, that if you store it, for example, corn, in a period of, for example, for 6 months, they can losses ranging from 4% to become 20% in Africa. There are several losses in bean, for example. After 4 months, there are 6% losses. This is the data from the literature. How about the losses in other chemical? I pick up the data that the color, which is in corn or in DDG or in corn gluten meal, we can measure it the color by carotene level, which is the chemical component found in corn. What happens when we store it, the layer feed or broiler feed, for 3 months in the tropic? This is approximately but losses. More than half of the carotene level is lost. There's a reason why the color of DDG may losses probably 50% if you store it more than 3 months. How about biological losses? The biological losses can be caused by insects development. The insect can grow very easily in the tropic when the humidity is normally above 70 and the temperature above 25. Humidity is very, very, very critical. Mold development. The mycotoxin story in the region in the tropic is much worse compared to the tropical area. We got a severe problem. Last year, 2 years ago, we did a lot of survey in Indonesia, tried to look at the corn contamination with mycotoxin. More than 70% of the corn is contaminated with mycotoxin. Very difficult to get corn, for example, below the 20 ppb level of aflatoxin. So that's the problem that we are facing at the moment. And mycotoxin is not only aflatoxin, there are several cases regarding mycotoxin, also coming from the temperate area like fusarium toxin. Few years ago, when we worked with the ASA in Indonesia, we did some trial to look at the biological performance when we are feeding soybean meal. We imported the soybean meal from US. We store it for the different month. So we stored the soybean meal from 0 up to 5 months storage in room temperature, which is approximately about 28 in average, the temperature, and humidity is above 70. So what happened when we feed it to the chicken? This is the feed conversion ratio is getting worse. The more you store, the quality is changing. This is just the soybean meal. So the loss is not only physical, chemical, but also nutritive value to the animals. So the primary factor that affecting the product and losses, one is physical, which is 3 main components: temperature, moisture, and sunlight. The chemical that's happened is oxidation, hydrolysis, which is chemical, also the enzymatic hydrolysis, and contamination. The biological, rodent, sometimes man, become the problem also, is stealing something. Let's have a look at the case corn. This is the typical corn quality in the region. If we have the good quality corn, we call it the grade A, different grading system like in the US. No any single country in the region in Southeast Asia have developed the grading standard for corn. So some company, I pick up a grade A, B, C on the basis of the moisture, but we try to educate the grading system developed in the US. So the grading A, B, C, and look at the difference in the color, the appearance. So the appearance of the grade D, which has been contaminated not only for fungus, but also the whole because of the insect. This will happen normally during the rainy season, not only in Indonesia, but also in Vietnam. There are many corns with the quality like this. So what's the causes of the spoilage, the grain spoilage, mainly in corn? Several cases because of the heat. If the temperature going up, the moisture migrated inside of the grain and may cause the condensation. There are several cases, the wall caking. We receive it, the corn in the container, and when you open the corn, some caking in the edge of the container. Not only for corn, but sometimes we discover from corn gluten meal, for example. DDG happen. Day and night temperature effect. If you store it the corn, regardless, sometimes the temperature, there's a difference in temperature day and night, and they cause moisture migration and cause condensation. There's self-heating because the insects growing in certain area of the corn or in certain area of the animal feed, they produce the heat, and we detect it with what we call it the hotspot. Moisture infiltration. Few years ago, we imported the product in Indonesia. I put it in a big warehouse, in a concrete warehouse. What happened? The weight of the product is so high and the construction is so poor, so all the floor and the wall become cracked. So what happened when the rainy season coming in, or some of the product is contaminated with moisture and the build up moisture, and within 2 weeks, the fungus start to grow in that region. So what happened when you store it, for example, the corn or other product in the silo, or including the container? If there is the difference so much between the daytime temperature and also the nighttime temperature, what happened? The moisture content will be uniform in the beginning, but when they heat it up, there's some migration of the moisture. Moisture normally migrated on the top, so when the nighttime, the temperature drop up, the moisture is condensate. So you can look at the problem here, normally on the top, is very high in moisture and start to grow with the fungus. So this is the common problem. We noticed it 3-4 years ago. The feed mill has been complaining, contacting me. He said, I put up the corn in the bulk warehouse, and what happened? There's some complaint in the chicken, and then when they notice it, when look at the corn, there's a lot of problem in the top of corn, he said. Please check how much the moisture content. The moisture content is not 14% anymore. What happened? 18, 20, 22% moisture. What happened with the insect? The fungus grow. If you develop the insect inside of the silo, inside of the warehouse, the insect is metabolized of the corn, or the fungus is grow, metabolizing all the nutrient in the corn. They produce heat. What we call it hotspot, the development hotspot. When the hotspot, the moisture is very high, growing here, the hotspot may be here and will be here.